Good evening, and welcome to the Crown Hill Journey, the unpublished chapter. I started telling you about this chapter early on in the process of reading this book, and basically I'll give you the real background tomorrow night at our special presentation. But basically, this is a chapter that I wrote because when I finished the book, I felt like it was done, but a few days, maybe a week or so after I finished, I felt like there was something more that needed to be said. So I wrote this chapter. Hi, Peggy. Welcome. So I wrote this chapter. It is like the first book of Crown Hill is Meg. This is the last book of Crown Hill. That's Catherine. Catherine was the name of my favorite aunt, and I named it after her. And I always felt like it was the best written chapter of the book, but it didn't make it. And tomorrow night during our Crown Hill presentation, I'll tell you why. But in the meantime, time to start. Glasses on. Water tonight. I had a busy day. No time for wine, just water. Good evening, Peggy. So it's just you and I. Here we go. So, Crown Hill, a novel of love, life, and the afterlife. Book 4, Catherine, the unpublished chapter. December 13th, 2035. Catherine made her way through the bedrooms, carefully inspecting each corner, looking into every closet, checking behind all the doors. It was a methodical but unnecessary process. The detail-oriented woman had already completed a walkthrough of the house once the movers had departed, and after the cleaning people had worked their magic. She knew everything was perfectly clean, and aseptic, really. Yet there was something more. Some nagging detail Catherine felt that she was overlooking. Unsure of what else to do, the mindful woman embarked on one last house inspection, beginning on the second floor. As she thoughtfully progressed from bedroom to bedroom, Catherine came to the realization that her bothersome concern was centered on leaving behind her lifetime of memories. The more her mind remembered, the more her heart compelled Catherine to preserve every special moment of her life at Crown Hill. The last stop on Catherine's second floor inspection was her own bedroom. She hadn't planned it that way, at least not consciously. Yet as the grown woman paused in the center of the now emptied room, she became awash in the realization that she would never again stand in this space as her own. Suddenly, for a moment, Catherine became the bedroom's long-ago little girl. Memories flashed through her mind like a fast-forwarding movie. Vignettes of snuggling in a rocking chair with her mother, playing dress-up with her best friend Susie Miller, beating her father at marathon Monopoly games, reading her favorite Louisa May Alcott's Rose in Bloom book, writing her first love letter, packing for college, dressing for her wedding day. Catherine had experienced a lifetime of joy and goodness in this room. Crown Hill had been Catherine's only home until the day she married. She came to the house as a newborn, adopted by Meg and Brady Callahan. While the three may not have been family by blood, the bonds of their hearts were strong and continually strengthened within Crown Hill's loving spirit. From her earliest memories, Catherine had been the center of her parents' world. As well, she was captivated by their devoted relationship. Oh, excuse me. As a child, Catherine would make her mother share the story of her parents' first meeting time and time again until she knew the details by heart. Their first encounter was in a supermarket parking lot. Their first date, a picnic on the 4th of July. Catherine's favorite part of the story was always her mother's laughing details of the delicious picnic food her father made and then later confessed that his own mother had prepared. No doubt, the marriage of Meg and Brady Callahan was a joyous one. They became husband and wife one perfect summer's day in a ceremony celebrated on Crown Hill's front porch. The couple then settled in and created their own special world within the White House upon the hill. Brady continued to work his family's farm while Meg pretty much took control of Kelly and Sons. Her prime responsibility became keeping Jake Kelly on a reasonably straight path. She absolutely loved the cantankerous Irishman and, in fact, asked him to be Catherine's godfather when it came time for her christening. It was an honor Jake took to heart as he devotedly became the family's Uncle Jakey. Not a day passed that Catherine did not miss her uncle, especially his mischievous sense of adventure and booming laughter that added to her childhood wonders. Catherine's memories overflowed with wonderful people and heartfelt moments, but this day was not solely about her own Crown Hill remembrances. This day was about her mother's memories as well. Meg and Catherine had become deeply connected from the moment they felt each other's touch. As Catherine grew into womanhood, the two matured from mother and daughter into best friends. It wasn't just that the women chatted every day and met whenever there was reason or time. It was that the two were quite simply one. Brady often good-naturedly complained that he was odd man out because of the special bond between his girls. To a certain extent, he was right. Meg and Catherine were bonded to each other in heart and soul, and even more so in spirit. That was why Catherine clearly understood that she had to bring her mother back to Crown Hill this one last time. Descending the graceful front stairway, Catherine tread softly into the living room. She felt a compounded sense of relief and melancholy, seeing her longtime friend Susie Miller keeping watch over her mother, so delicately arranged in a wheelchair. "Everything okay here, ladies?" Catherine spoke with a brighter enthusiasm than she felt. She knew that her mother really didn't hear her words and probably did not comprehend any phrases that might manage to enter her mind. As Catherine was learning, Alzheimer's was a disrespectful disease that tragically trapped a person's non-functioning mind in their still functioning body. "Yep, we're doing great. In fact, your mom and I were just talking about all the fun parties we used to have here at Crown Hill." Next to her mother, Susie Miller was Catherine's best friend. The girls had known each other all of their lives, as their parents had been friends before they were born. Going from diapers to dates to families of their own had formed a permanent bond between the two women that never failed. Seeing Susie care for her mother reminded Catherine of the day that her father suffered his life-ending heart attack. Within hours of his passing, Susie showed up at Crown Hill and stayed for days, cooking and comforting the Callahan women in their devastated sorrow. Catherine could not imagine dealing with her mother's Alzheimer's just 3 years after her father's death without Susie's good-natured and caring support. "Talking about Crown Hill parties, eh? Well, now, we could go on forever about the fun we've had over the years in this house, couldn't we, Mom?" Catherine approached and knelt before the wheelchair. Desperately searching her mother's green eyes, she warned herself not to expect anything, any reaction at all. When Catherine had asked the doctor for permission to take her mother from the West Ridge Care Facility, where she now lived, back to Crown Hill for a final visit, the physician's answer was very clear. Honestly, Mrs. Quinn, I don't think it's a good idea. Alzheimer patients need routine and consistency in their lives. While your mother is a gentle woman, I can't predict what might happen should she become disturbed by such an outing. The physician's negative reaction gave Catherine pause. Was he right? Was she wrong to want to try and connect with her mother through a journey to Crown Hill? It didn't feel wrong to Catherine. No matter that her mother was unable to comprehend and communicate. The two women were still devotedly connected. Going to Crown Hill one last time was an absolute for her mother. Catherine was sure of it. So she made the choice to sign her mother out of Westridge for the day, going against the advice of the doctor and trusting with all of her heart in Crown Hill. Mom, how are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Catherine's words echoed back from her mother with a blank response. The silence between them had become the norm over the last 6 months. But refusing to give up, Catherine wrapped her hands around her mother's and looked deeply into her eyes. Sharing the special hand squeeze that had been their mother-daughter tradition, Catherine softly spoke. I love you, Mom. She heard her. Catherine knew her mother heard her. What do you say we give your mom a little tour through the house before we go? Susie was determined that their last moments at Crown Hill would be happy ones. We can stop in each room and tell our favorite memory, but it has to be something fun, something we did that made us happy and filled this house with the laughter that we all remember. Oh, Susie, that's a great idea. Don't you think so, Mom? Let's start right here in the living room. I'll go first. One of my all-time favorite memories in this room was a regular event, actually. It was Christmas Eve with our family and friends. We'd sit in front of the fire and eat delicious holiday food and enjoy eggnog, all of which was actually just a way to pass the time until Santa finally arrived. And he always did arrive, and he always had a big sack of presents for everyone. It was so fun to watch Dad sit on Santa's lap in order to get his gift. Oh, he hated every minute of it, but we insisted, didn't we, Mom? Catherine's attempt to engage with her mother kindled yet another soundless reaction. Undaunted, Susie continued. Well, I remember an entirely different tradition in this room. I remember Sunday dinners at Crown Hill where after we ate, we would gather here in the living room around the old player piano and sing. Your mother would pick out a piano roll and we would have to guess what song she had chosen while she set it up to play. Then, once we heard the music, we would all join in and sing, even if we didn't really know the words. Ah, yeah, I remember Mother's game and how much fun it was to try and guess the songs. Susie, do you remember the words to Peg of My Heart? It was always Mom's favorite, only Dad would change it and sing, Meg my heart, I love you, don't ever part, I need you. Immediately, the two women joined in full voice, singing out the refrain of the vintage tune. They were so merrily immersed in the song that neither of them noticed the small smile escaping from Meg's lips. It was the music. It had always been a treasured part of Meg's world. Hearing her favorite song sparked recognition within her mind. Looking around at her surroundings, Meg felt a familiarity. Oh, how she wished she could remember something, anything. Her mind was such a vacuum of emptiness. Yet, as the music continued to play in her heart, feelings returned to her body, bringing with them faded memories. She was in this very room, yet not alone. There was a man nearby, a handsome man who looked at her with the deepest love in his piercing blue eyes. He approached, took her in his arms, and began waltzing them around the room. Round and round they danced, the power of his body guiding her every step. Everything about this man was familiar to Meg, and she surely knew him in her heart. If only she could remember who he was. Mom, let's move into the dining room, okay? Catherine guided her mother's wheelchair past the pocket doors and into the oversized space where once family, food, and conversation had been joyously shared around the table. Oh, wow! There are so many memories of life in this room, I'm not even sure where to begin. Susie knelt down before Meg so she could look into her eyes as she spoke. Mrs. Callahan, I think the moment in this dining room that I will always remember is the dinner you made for me when I turned 16. Everyone made such a big deal out of the fact that I was all grown up. Only you understood that the little girl still remained in my heart, and you made me a special doll birthday cake. I had always envied girls who had that kind of a cake with the pretty doll wearing a big fancy frosted cake dress. When you set that before me with the candles lit and everyone sang, I felt like the most special girl in the world. Shared tears welled in Catherine and Susie's eyes as they searched for reaction from Meg that didn't come, couldn't come. It was just so unfair that this once vital woman was only a shell of a person, stripped of her memories and thoughts and the feelings that had made her wholly remarkable. Well, I agree with Susie. There are so many memories within this room, and every one of them is special to me, Mom. You were such a good cook. Everyone loved to be invited for a meal at Crown Hill. I can remember Uncle Jakey always showing up around dinner time and pretending to be offended by your insistence that he stay and eat with us. And I remember the holiday dinners, not just with family, but with friends, whoever needed a place so that they weren't alone. You always included everyone and made them feel as if Crown Hill was their home. Mom, I grew up in the most wonderful world, surrounded by so many amazing people, and it was all because of the love that you and Dad shared. The moment was overwhelming to Catherine. Knowingly, Susie turned to her friend with a comforting hug. The sight of the women joined before her sparked another flicker of recognition within Meg. There was a time and place when she had seen these two hug before. In fact, many times she was sure of it. And in this room as well. Meg felt an instinctive love rising within her, and she knew it as a mother's intuition. Like a slowly unfolding flower, Meg's mind allowed her to recognize that one of these women was her daughter, her child. The small opening into her memory led Meg to more familiar thoughts and images. As she considered the oversized room, she envisioned a curved china cabinet, a beautifully set table, and a man, the same man with the deeply blue and loving eyes, sitting at that table. Rather than struggling to remember, Meg simply immersed herself in this place within her memory, taking comfort in the feelings of happiness and love that she felt there. Well, ladies, we probably should move on. Taking her cue from Catherine, Susie escorted Meg into the kitchen. Whether it was the emptiness of the room or the knowledge that their time at Crown Hill was drawing near, the mood among the three women became one of wistful remembrance. Oh, Mom, we shared so much here in your kitchen. You taught me how to cook, but not just about measuring and mixing. You taught me that creating food is a way to share love. I can still see Dad coming through the door from his day at the farm, smelling of whatever barn project he'd been working on. The first words out of his mouth were always the same. Margaret Rose, whatever you got cooking there sure makes a man hungry. And then he'd wrap his arms around you and snuggle his head into your neck, and you'd always laugh and then scold him to go get washed and get rid of that barn smell. I remember your dad coming in and smelling like the cows, Susie offered, trying to lighten the mood. I also remember you and me sneaking in here quite regularly and stealing your mom's chocolate chip cookies from that old china jar. We tried to be so quiet, but the darn lid on that jar was near impossible to lift and lower without some kind of noise. I bet you knew every time, didn't you, Mrs. Callahan? Susie's question brought both girls to Meg's side, where they knelt to her level. The power of their combined presence forced Meg's mind to open further. Her name is Catherine. That's my daughter's name. And her friend, I can't remember who she is. And where are we? I've been here. No, I've lived here. That's what these girls have been talking about. This is my home. Yes, this is Crown Hill. The realizations passing through her usually dormant mind startled Meg. She felt a panic rising within her, but also understood that she had nothing to fear. She was home and with her daughter. This was a safe place. The awareness caused a surge of relief to spread through Meg's body, much like a warming hug. Without warning, tears fell softly along her cheeks and onto the hands of both women before her. Mom, are you okay? Susie, Mom's crying. Mom, talk to me. Don't cry. It's okay. I'm here. Susie and I are both here. Meg heard Catherine's words and understood them as well. The dawning comprehension of all around her encouraged Meg to react. Carefully, slowly, she reached out and touched both women's hands, giving them a gentle squeeze. Oh, Mom, you are there. You do know us. Oh, Mom, I love you so. Susie moved back from the wheelchair, allowing Catherine to enter into a full embrace with her mother. As she stood by, she watched Meg wrap her arms around her daughter as well. Love you, Catherine. The emotion of the moment was overwhelming for all three women, and they lingered within it, allowing the feeling to fully envelop them. This was a reunion, not only among the women, but within Meg herself. When at last Catherine and Meg drew apart, there was a shared recognition in their eyes, connecting their hearts. Thank you. Meg's words were simple, but Catherine understood their significance on so many levels. She knew it had been the right thing to do, bringing her mother to Crown Hill. Now she knew that her mother believed so as well. Well, this certainly has been an amazing, wonderful day, ladies. Mrs. Callahan, I am so glad to be able to share this Crown Hill visit with you. Susie knelt again next to Catherine and savored the recognition between mother and daughter. It was a moment, like a lifetime of moments, that the women had shared, bringing happiness among them. Suddenly, the three became immersed in a shared smile that rolled into contagious giggles. Oh my! Catherine slowed her laughter with a deep breath. I haven't laughed like that in such a long time. Oh, I remember many times when we laughed just like that. In fact, Mrs. Callahan, remember the time in the summer when Catherine and I decided that it was so hot that we needed to fill up some water balloons? You gave us some old balloons from the back pantry, but they were rotted and they kept bursting every time we tried to fill them. There was water everywhere, and those balloons just kept bursting and spraying more water all over the kitchen. We could not stop laughing. Meg did remember that day and the clear memory of water shooting through her kitchen with every burst balloon. She nodded at Susie and smiled broadly, grateful for the exuberant nature of this woman-child. She would be a stalwart friend to Catherine, always. Well, ladies, we have accomplished our goal of returning to Crown Hill for one last visit before the new owners arrive. I guess that it's time to go. Otherwise, I'm afraid we might not ever be able to leave. Catherine faltered in her words as she spoke the thoughts all three of them were holding. I guess it is time, although I have to say, no matter who lives here, in my mind, this will always be your home. Susie reached out for both women's hands and connected them through her. In that moment, there was no denying that the spirit of the Callahan family would forever be part of Crown Hill. Susie moved to the back of Meg's wheelchair and prepared to guide her through the kitchen and out the back door when Catherine stopped her. Wait, Susie. What is it, Mom? Recognizing Meg's struggle to speak, Catherine drew near her mother. Is there something you need? Something I can do for you? Meg had a true need, something that she had to do before leaving Crown Hill. It was communicating her need that was the challenge. The kind concern in Catherine's eyes drew the words from Meg's mind. The porch. The porch? Do you want to go out on the porch, Mom? Is that it? With deep relief, Meg smiled and nodded. Okay, but Mom, it's winter, and you know how the freezing winds come up from the lake across this house. Are you sure you want to go out there? Again, Meg smiled and nodded. She needed to savor one last time on her treasured porch. It took but a moment for Catherine to bundle her mother in her wool coat and felted mittens and gently drape the soft mohair scarf around her head, tenderly tucking the ends around her neck. Then, proceeding ahead of Susie, Catherine opened wide the heavy wooden door as well as the more delicate screen leading to her mother's dearly loved wraparound porch. The biting winter air stung the three women, causing tears to form in their eyes. Yet, as Meg looked out over the horizon and the lake view that she had loved for more than 40 years, her tears became filled with memories of the rich and full life that Crown Hill had given her. The heart-mending that took place within her home's sturdy walls and comforting rooms. A collection of sights and sounds that had been locked away in Meg's mind suddenly tumbled through her. The moments, the people, it was like an amazing parade. Yet as much as she was enthralled, Meg was saddened. She knew the return of these memories was but a fleeting gift and would shortly leave her mind forever, just as she was leaving Crown Hill. Taking one last longing look across the lake, Meg closed her eyes and imagined. She imagined her porch swing and a soft summer night, with crickets making love and fireflies sparkling in the darkness, Brady's arms wrapped around her. Within the glow of that moment, Meg felt the spirits of Crown Hill who had watched over and guided her for so many years. Mary, her grandmother, and now Brady. Meg knew that no matter how her life changed, no matter what she could remember or how much she forgot, they would always be a part of her. Mama, I think we better get you out of this cold and back to your nice warm room at Woodridge, okay? With a peaceful calm, Meg nodded her agreement. Returning to Westridge felt like an imprisonment at this moment, but Meg knew that she would shortly return to her forgotten mindset where nothing would matter. So rather than rail against what would be, she savored what was before her one last time. The women made their way from the porch to the back door in silence, each lost in their own Crown Hill memories. Walking along the brick path and under the trellis archway, Meg smiled as Catherine pierced the quiet. You know, it's funny, Mom. Here we are in the middle of winter, and I could swear that I smell the scent of roses. Watching Meg and the girls make their way along the brick path, I understood that they were leaving my shelter for the last time. As they reached the archway of Mary's Roses, I purposefully shared a lasting scent of her glorious red blooms, a reminder to Meg of my love and our connection that would never end. For that is the life of a house, a patchwork of the people and animals and experiences that filter through its being, leaving behind traces of their spirits to forever be. I am grateful for those who have been a part of me, for they have provided my being with love and care and much laughter. Certainly, there have been those who left behind vestiges of anger, hurt, and sorrows as well. Yet my being would not be complete without the full range of experiences that define human life. And so I embrace them all. Then there are some who gave more than traces of their life to me. Some who altered my structure, changed my appearance, added to my landscape. They did so out of a self-need, no doubt. But they also did these things out of a love for my being, a love for their home. And therein lies my true value, that of home. Margaret Rose Callahan will be a strong part of my being in ways that will influence all who follow. The same as my dearest Mary and the many who came in the 150 years between them. It is my purpose and my joy to have housed all of their caring spirits, and to then share their many loving gifts with those who continue to visit and dwell within me. So to all who may become part of my future, know that whatever path you take in life. No matter where your journey begins, whether you have the heart to give, or if the obstacles you have overcome have taken too much, I look forward to the day that you will come and call upon the house on top of the hill. And as you walk beneath Mary's rose-covered arbor and experience Meg's treasured wraparound porch, I hope you will know that you have found a place of peace and caring, a place where you will be forever safe, a place that you can call home. So that's the unpublished chapter. And I will tell you tomorrow night, I hope you join me tomorrow night for the story behind the story of Crown Hill. And I will tell you why this chapter was never published. It was a big decision, but there was a good reason for it. So we made it. I'm so grateful I made it. We read every chapter and only broke down in one. Not too bad. Thank you all for joining me on a Friday night. Janice, I'm sorry you're sobbing. And Peggy, my mom was quite ill for 3 years. And at the end of her life, I brought her to Crown Hill. And I thought I was bringing her to take care of her and make her better. And I thought it would be a time for us to connect. We were never particularly close. My mom was a real tough lady. And so I brought her there. And I thought it was going to be our chance to get to know one another, make that mother-daughter connection we never had. And it didn't happen. She only lived for 3 months. But I know that her passing at Crown Hill was supposed to be, and Crown Hill was really made it possible for me to be able to do it as well. So it is a very special place. It's a spiritual house. Over and above, I'm not talking about spirits, but spiritual, as I told you early on in this book. Whenever anyone came to visit, they always asked to come back. Artists would stop and ask if they could paint. People continued to come back. During the commune years, there were 4 women who were there because they had problems, alcohol, drug abuse problems, and they had come there to heal. And they would come back and have little mini reunions. And they would ask my permission, and they didn't want to come in. They just wanted to be on the property. So it's a very special place, and I'm so grateful that I had the privilege and the honor of being the keeper of the flame, so to speak, for those years. Tomorrow night, 7:30, you are going to get a glimpse. You'll see the dining room, the porch, the living room with the new owner, Missy Singer-Dumars, and you will hear her story. Just as my story is unusual and how I came to Crown Hill, Missy's is equally unusual, and she bought the house from me, and I will tell you that I still to this day, I'm not sure how that ever happened. And the connection she already had to the house that no one knew. So tomorrow night is going to be an incredible experience of lots of information and lots of good shared stories. I'm going to have pictures of all the people, all the real people who lived in the book. I'll have their books that they wrote. There's going to be all kinds of story behind the story, along with the things in the book that really happened. So you'll know what really happened. And then at the end of the night, 2 people are going to get live readings from Candy Donaldson Thornton. She will be there as well. She's going to tell her part of what she did in this house, how the spirit she found, how she helped me write this book, and then she will do 2 readings. If you would like a reading, what we're doing is we're asking you to just go to my website, go to the contact page. My website's my name, ChristinaApp.com. Go to the contact button, send me an email. It's not going to go anywhere else, I promise you. We're not selling it for your email address. And so fill that in and just say, I'd like a reading by noon tomorrow. Every name I have by noon tomorrow, we're going to put them all in a hat and pull out 2. And those 2 people will be the ones that get the free reading. It will be live online Candy and Missy and I are going to be Zooming, and we're going to be broadcasting to Facebook Live. So you'll see all 3 of us at the same time. And when Candy does the reading, she's going to be on the phone with each one of the people, and she'll have them on speaker. And she will do the reading. So I'll be part of that as well. And I told this story last night. If you weren't here last night, Candy is remarkable. I have not had extensive experience with mediums, but I've been to a few and never really bought into it very much. And Candy, I have seen her read people live readings like we're going to do tomorrow night, only in a room full of people. And it hasn't mattered where we've been, if we've been upstate, downstate, 5 people, 50 people. When she gets done reading, the people never fail come up and say to her, I can't believe you told me those things. And I told the story last night. I have a friend in Colorado who has a friend in Colorado who is a builder, and he bought this old 100-and-some-year-old house 30 some years ago and has never been able to have a good night's sleep in it because there are always noises and creaks and doors closing and opening and things like that. And he finally broke down this year and called our mutual friend and said, I got to do something because I don't think I can keep living in this house. I'm exhausted. And the other thing was really interesting. Whenever he started a relationship with a woman, if he moved in with the woman, they were all good. But as soon as the woman moved in with him in this house, all hell broke loose. So he just said, I got to do something. And my friend said, I know somebody. So he called me because he had read Crown Hill, and he called me, and I put Candy in touch with this man who owned this house. She was on the phone with him. I don't even know if it was an hour. She read the house. She read him. She told him what he needed to do. She told him who the spirits, there were several spirits, who they were, why they were there. And she told him what to do, and he did it. And that man now sleeps soundly every night in his house. She's remarkable. She's just really connected, and she will tell you her story as well. So I look forward to tomorrow night. Please share the event with people. Let them know. It would be really wonderful to have a nice audience tomorrow night so that we feel like we're all trying to do something to help people. And the more people that come, the more they may have something fun to do on a Saturday night and maybe get a reading. So it's an event page on Facebook. You can also just find it through my page. So there, and ask questions. That's the other thing you're going to be able to do tomorrow night. Get your questions ready and then type them in, and we'll read them and answer them as we can. Okay, everybody good? Ready to go have some wine? Sign me up. It's hard to walk away from you, though, because now I go to the house and there's nobody here. It's not like Crown Hill, but it's good, and I'm happy and I'm blessed. So thank you tonight. This is it. This is it. We won't read again. Someone, Diane Strawbridge, asked me today, what are you going to read next? I don't know that I could read something that isn't my own and be as good. And the other books that I have aren't that. So I don't know. If somebody wants me to read something, let me know. I've been reading all my life. But other than that, it's been a fun adventure. Thank you. Thank you for a month full of losing the internet, no sound, broadcasting to myself. But it was all wonderful and good. And you made my life full for the month of April. So thank you.